Welcome to another video of Putting It All Together. Today's video is on tables. And tables is one type of element that I really made use of in this site. Actually, every page has a table on it. Let's look through the pages and see the tables, and then I'm going to go through each of those tables with you and how I formatted them to make them look like they do. So for starters, we're on the contact page right now. There's a small table here. This table is holding my form. More technically, my form has a table in it, but that's the idea. It's for my form. If I go and look at the restoration page, my table is down here of all the lights that I have that are in need of restoration. I have the sample before and after picture of a light that's been restored, but then I have all my future projects down here that still need at least some attention, if not major attention. My gallery page is very similar. I have gallery videos to start with, and then I have gallery images below that. And these are all lights either I've restored or John Frederick Pegan restored. Most of them I restored on here. Two of them, three of them, including a video, he restored. Okay, so that's gallery. So now the home page. This is a table as well. I guess it'd be safe to say that I'm kind of a fan of tables. And if you said that, you'd be right. I think they're a great way to organize your data. One thing, though, I do like to avoid when I'm making tables is the borders on the tables, because if you add a border, you're going to start seeing all the different cells, and it's going to look, in my opinion, at least for this side, it would look rather crummy. There may be situations where you do want a border, such as an area where you have lots of, say, financial statistics or numbers. That would be really helpful to have borders around the cells so that you could follow a line of going down a column or across a row. But when you're using it to lay out your page like I am, probably don't want the borders. And anytime you do need to distinguish, you can use a color like I have right here. The blue versus the kind of creamish color or ivory. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Let's come over. I think we'll just start on the home page and we'll work our way over. We'll look at each of these pages. The gallery and restoration pages, just a heads up, are going to be very similar. So really there's three main examples. The home page example, the gallery and restoration is almost the same. So that's like one example. And then we have the contact page, which again is very, very different. And so that one will be a different example. So let's go back to home. This is where we're going to start. We'll also go over the CSS rules that I have for tables, which is not that many. I don't have a lot of rules for the tables, but the rules I do have covers everything I need it to do. So if I go over here to the index page, I see around line 25 here, I'm starting my table. So to make a table, you have the table tag, and then you have a corresponding close table tag, which mine is right here. And then you have rows. TR is table row. So TR to close TR, that's a row. TR to /TR is another row. So is it safe to say that my table has 2 rows? The answer to that question is yes. Now you look at it here, and it may not look like it has 2 rows. Doesn't really look like that, does it? But it does. So let's go through what we have. So the first row has just one thing in it, a TH. TH stands for table header, as opposed to TD, which is table data. Table data is a normal table cell. A table header is bold and centered by default. But another neat thing about having a TH tag is if we wanted to make a rule specific for the TH tag, we could do that so that it would look a certain way. So that is a nice little benefit of using a TH over just a regular TD for table headings. So I have another attribute here, call span. This is how many columns we're going to span in this table header cell. Now, if you look over here, it looks like I have two sections, which is correct. I have two columns. So this first one up here, this table header that says bringing the past to the present, that needs to span over both columns. So if I look back over here, does it? Call span equals 2. Bringing the past to the present in the TH, and now I end the table row. So if you look over here, I started the table row, 2 column spans, and ended it. So there's nothing else that's in that row. There's no other table header or table data cell because I did the column span of 2. That's not going to be true for the next row, but for that row it was. So this row is very simple. As you can see, just this one line of code in this row. The next row, though, I'm going to have how many TDs? I'm going to have 1 and 2. 2 TDs. Now, it should be 2. Why do you think? Well, I wanted the previous row to cover the whole table, and I did a column span of 2. So that means the next row, or any rows after that, should only be 2 table data cells, unless I combine them as well, but I didn't in this case. I'm using another column span. I didn't do that, so I left them separate. So I have these 2 table data cells. Each table data cell has a bunch of stuff in it. So let's talk about what I have. So I have a TD style vertical align top. What am I doing here? I'm bringing it up to the top. See how this picture's all the way up? And in this TD, I have the image. Images /3G3E intro, so 3 gas 3 electric intro pic.jpg. ID is main picture, and then I have the map that we talked about in a previous video when I did image maps. And then I have the map here. I'm not going to cover that again today, obviously, of the chandelier. And then I have a break. And then I have a paragraph. And the paragraph says, click on the chandelier to see if you can find it in the gallery. And that's this one here. Remember, we talked about the special rule for this before as well. The last paragraph in a section, I believe, was the rule. I won't go back to that today, but just remember we did that before. So that's the end of that table data cell, a picture and a paragraph. The next table data cell, 3 paragraphs in it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We also did CSS rules about these paragraphs in a previous lesson as well. So I'm not going to go over them in much detail, other than that I will mention that second paragraph in italic. As you can see, I have a class called quote. And over in my style, where's quote? There it is, font style italic. So I just wanted to point that out. I think we already did that before, but again, I'm not going to go any more detail than that in the rules since we did cover that in a previous video. If you need more information on that, please go back and look at that video on styling that we did before. Okay, so we're on index. So then I have those 3 paragraphs, then I close the TD. So that means I have my 2 table data cells. So that means I can close the row. And I can make another row if I wanted, but I don't need another row, so I close the table. And that's the table for the index page. So let's look at the next page. We have the gallery page next. Now the gallery page, I did something that's a little unconventional, and you'll see here what I did. Not something I would normally do, but I wanted to do it anyway. So here's my table, line 16. I have my first row, which just is gallery videos. And notice it's a TH with a column span of 2. So again, if you look at my table, I have a light on each side all the way down. So it makes sense that I have 2 columns. So this is a TH. So then I close my TR, I open a new TR. Well, this one's where my videos are going to go. It goes from here to here. So I have my figure tag, and I have an iframe in there, which is my video. And then I have a fig caption. I did this so it would match the other figures to have the same type of fig caption. So they'd be styled the same. So it looks the same as below these. So it makes it appear like they're just pictures, just like these, but they're not. They're actual videos. And then I have my fig caption, as I said, what it is. I close that table data and I open the other one. So I've got these 2 videos and their captions along with them here. And that is the row. That row is done. This is where things get a little unconventional. We tend to think of table headers as the top row, but you can use them again if you need something formatted like that. So I have a new, oh, wait a minute. Oh, look at that. I'm missing a tag. I just saw that. I'm missing my close TR. See, that's the neat thing about browsers. Sometimes, and it's also a bad thing about browsers, they'll know what you're doing. Let me save that there. I'll refresh. It should be the same. There it is. It's the same. But anyway, so let's go back here. I have my new table row. And again, I'm doing a column span of 2, but I'm using a TH tag again for gallery images. And again, the reason I'm doing that is that I want it to have that blue look, and I want it to have the centered and bold and all that stuff. I don't want to have to reformat that. So I went ahead and did that. Now I have a TR and close TR right here with 2 table datas, each with a figure and fig caption. So it says Craig's favorite chandelier. It took him 2 years to find all the necessary parts. This is the first chandelier that was restored. It has since been sold. So if I look over here again, there it is about my favorite chandelier. And there it is about the one that's been sold. It's going to be the same after that. Another row, 2 figures. Another favorite is this 3 gas, 3 electric, beautiful leaf work. And then this one restored by J.F. Pegan. So you see there it is, the leaf work one, and the one by Pegan. And then I have 2 more rows. The next one is by Pegan. Again. and then the one that was covered in brown paint. And that's these two here. And then finally, the one that was a gift, and the one gas, one electric that has been sold. Okay. And that's the end, but you can see there's background after that, that tan color, the dark tan. So if you notice here, it's because I closed the table. So now we're back to the normal body background color. We close the body and then we close the HTML. So that is the gallery page. The restoration page is nearly identical. I'll point out a few differences if there are any. Actually, there's really only one difference. And well, besides the fact it's shorter, I don't have as many to restore as I have restored, which is probably a good thing. My wife thinks so. We don't have a bunch of these junk ones laying around everywhere, although these do take up enough space as it is. So what we do is we look over here, we go to restoration, we go to our table, line 22, and it's the same thing. We have the call span of 2. The first one is not videos, they're pictures, but it's a before and after picture. And so that's what it's set up here, before and after. And then we do another TH, future projects. And then we work our way down through the 2 rows of future projects. So that's 4 lights total. I actually have more than 4, I'll confess. I think I have about 6. But anyway, one of them was put away to the point I couldn't get pictures of it. And then another one I just didn't take a picture of. So I technically have 6 unrestored ones that I need to get going on, but here are 4 of them. All right. So that one was pretty quick. There's not much more to it than that. This one's very similar, as I said. But the contact one is quite different. So the contact one is going to have all the form elements in it. So let's go ahead. Actually, I'll scroll down here so you can see it. Let's go ahead and talk about how I got this formatted in this particular way. Now, is this the right way to format it? Not necessarily. You could choose to have it formatted a different way. I made it like this. You might want the name and the text field to be right next to each other. I mean, it's up to you how you do it. I decided I would do mine this way. Again, it's choice. It's personal choice. So what I'll do is I'll come over here and go to contact. And where's my table? Oh, I have all that JavaScript at the top. That's why it's not there. Okay, here's the form. And inside the form, I start my table. So my table goes, can I get it all on one page? Yep, from line 162 to 198. That's my table. So in this table, you can already tell in the first row, which is a great place to look, how many columns there's going to be. Because I have a call span of 3. I have a TH with please fill out the form. So please fill out the form. You can see I have 3 columns that I'm dealing with. Okay, so let's look here at this one. The next row, from here to here, the 3 cells. The first one is name, with a colon. The next one is a text field. And the last one is an error field, or a place for an error to go. It's just an empty TD. And notice it really is empty because I have a class and an ID, but the TD tag, this is the whole tag, and then it immediately has the closing tag with nothing between it. This tag, this TD tag, and this closed TD tag have that whole input box between them. And the first one, I have name colon between them. But then this one again is just empty. There's nothing there. And that's by design because I want it to be able to use that in my JavaScript code, use that space. Now, could I have put it as text in the text field? Sure, I could. I could have, but I wanted to do it like this. It was personal preference. So age, so that ends that row, table row. Age is exactly the same thing except for age. I have the age, which is acting as a label. I have the input for the age. And then in this one, I have nothing. And it's an error. It's a cell to hold the error if they don't enter an age or a valid age. And that's the end of that row. Now we've got a new row. This one is a little bit more interesting. So type of chandelier, that's in the first TD. So if you look right here, it says type of chandelier. This should also tell you why these are so long up here. Because favorite type of chandelier has to fit in the column. So it's adjusting over and saying, okay, this column has to be this wide. And so name's going to take up all this space before we have the text field. So that's the first cell in the row, favorite type of chandelier. The second cell is merged with the third. So we have a column span of 2. So we're using 2 columns because there's a lot of stuff here. And then I have all the different radio buttons and corresponding labels for them. The radio button for gas, the label for gas, the radio button for electric or gas electric, and the label for gas electric, and then the radio button for early electric and the label for early electric. And that finishes off that table data. So what I want you to really see here is that while I did a column span of 3 here, I did a column span of 2 right here. It doesn't matter as long as your total columns are going to add up to be the same thing. So you could have a column span of 2 and then have a single column after that for a total column width of 3. So there's lots of possibilities and combinations you can do. So now they end my table row. And that takes us to where? That takes us to the end of these radio buttons. So I still have all of this left. So I open my new table row. Column span is 3, so that's the whole thing. I have a label, comments, question, excuse me, and then I have a text area. So again, over here, comment/question and text area, all in a column span of 3. Now I could have, if I wanted to, I could have done this. I could have had a single TD with the label comments, questions, and then I could have another TD that expands 2 and has the text area in it. If I had done that, what would happen? Well, if I had done that, the column span of the first column goes all the way to here. So, or the width of the column goes all the way to here. So in that case, if this one was by itself and then this was the other 2 merged, this would move over to here and be lined up with this, and this would have additional space after up to that point because it's all going in accordance to the longest single cell there, which is favorite type of chandelier. So that's something that I could have done. I did not have an error cell on this one. Any idea why I didn't have an error cell? Think about this. Why didn't I have an error cell on this? Well, if you look back, you need your name and age, chandelier type, but what if you don't have a comment or a question? So I don't need to check to see to make sure they entered a comment or a question because they may not have one. They may just be telling me their favorite type of chandelier. Okay, and then finally, we have, that's the end of that cell. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking back to having done it in a single cell and two. I was just telling you, you could do that. This is a column span of 3, so it's using up the whole thing. And then, oh, by the way, I also set a size on the text area. Columns 40, rows 6. Okay, and then finally, my last row is right here, column span of 3, and it's a submit button. There it is, but it goes all the way over, so it's all one cell in the row. Okay, so that covers all the tables themselves. So now we need to look at the CSS for the rules of the table. The main rules of this table, you'll notice, are the different colorings in the backgrounds. And I have a rule, an extra rule in there that I want you to see. I'm not currently using it, but I want you to see it for what it is, for what it could do. So if I come over here to my styles, first of all, I have them in 2 different spots. So let's see here. I have, there it is, table, TH, and TD. All of those have a border collapse. And of course, I have no border set. I don't want a border. So I'm just getting rid of that border. That's really all the formatting I have for those by default. But then I have this table row, first child, background light blue. That is going to set my, my first row in the table to be a light blue background. And then I'm going to have my tr nth child even. So this is whichever one. So I have some comments here. So let me read through the comments with you. For the first row of the table, that's the first child. For the following, assume n starts at 0. For even rows, use even or 2n. The first row affected would be 2. N starts with n starting at 0. Because 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, etc. But you can just put even. For odd rows, you can say odd or 2n plus 1. But unfortunately, because we already have a first child rule, we need to offset it. So instead of 2n plus 1, we need to start on row 3 instead of row 1. So we add 2 more. So the tnth child of 2n plus 3 is going to get a different background. Now notice here I have them both the same background. So if I changed one to red and save this, okay, it didn't do it. Let's see if I, there it goes. I had to get it refreshed. See, starting on the 3rd row, I get red for the odd ones. So I don't like that. I wanted to keep it like this. But if you wanted to alternate, which is really good if you have financial or numeric data on your tables, it's really handy to alternate. And instead of having to code that manually, you can do one of these rules to where you have the even and odd rows. So I'm going to put this back so that I keep the, it's not, I'm going to have to actually refresh it here. There it goes. Okay, so I wanted to mention that. And then one other thing that I needed to check here. I think I forgot to mention something. Yes. Do you see how if this is true of gallery and restoration, the TH in the beginning is just gallery videos. There's nothing else here. But the TH for gallery images has a class of row heading. Because in my styles, and I just saw this and it reminded me, I have my first child is light blue, but how do I ever get this one to be light blue? I don't want it to be in the every other. So what I did was I made a class called row heading, and that class, row heading, has a background color of light blue. So I just set my class to be that for my other THs so that they would grab, actually I was looking at gallery, class row heading, so that they would change to have that blue background instead of the light cream. So that is how I use tables in the site. Again, I use them quite heavily. A couple pages of this are very similar though, but I hope this helps and that you feel much more comfortable now incorporating tables into your site and eventually into your final project. I'll see you in the next video.